Hi, everyone. Welcome to our new series, Xanthus, Annals of a Fallen Empire. This is Thomas with me. I'm Bob, the GM. We're going to start with this zero session for Thomas, this character creation for him. So first thing is we're going to talk a little bit about Iovera. This is the continent for our setting. What's important about it is that once Xanthus, an empire, spanned the entirety of the continent. It brought about a golden age of peace and prosperity, but with every great empire comes a time when it must collapse. So the stories we're telling are going to be a number of the players moving around as independent protagonists throughout the setting. And this is Thomas's tale, or will be, once we figured out whose character is.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That is a pretty big, important first step, but I love, like, no matter what I pick, just exploring new and wonderful worlds and fucking with it.
Fair. Anything you wanted to say about yourself, Thomas? Just gaming preference, anything of interest?
All right. Yeah, I'm Thomas. I am a nerd. It comes as a shock, I know, for someone on a D&D, actual play thing. But I'm such a nerd that I do physical exercise about it. In that suitcase is a full suit of armor. I have a cat named Lily who may be visiting, but I've barricaded the door, so she'll find it difficult. She'll manage, though. Yeah, that's basically me. Not terribly interesting. I'm from Australia.
Great. All right. Why don't we go ahead and dive right into your high concept? So what we're looking for here, and this is Dungeons & Dragons 5e, for anyone that didn't catch that on the intro. We're going to be looking for your region, first off, and then race, background, and occupation.
Indeed. So I have a couple of ideas. I read the document that Bob sent me of a lot of the regions and some stuff about the gods, and I've got 3 possibilities to my mind. One is someone, a descendant of the old Zanthian people, the seat of that great empire, now just, I think, Xanthia. One of many. What did they rename themselves?
They are the Zanthian Commonwealth, so they're basically
Zanthian Commonwealth.
city-state governed at this point. So
Gotcha.
the big difference, because this is only one generation after the fall of Xanthus, so you could argue that they actually prevented, unlike like Rome, they prevented an actual Dark Ages from coming about through success, or a literal Dark Ages, depending on how much you want to dwell into the lore of this game. But the key factor I'd say here is that a lot of the regions that were more occupied by Xanthus than officially,
brought
annexed.
into the fold.
Yeah. They weren't properly annexed, or they had enough cultural differences from Xanthus itself to not remain apart. Those areas have branched off and become independent to the Zanthian Commonwealth. Everyone that lingered and stayed has chosen to be here, or at least voted to be in. And that stretches the boundaries of Xanthus, or Zanthian Commonwealth as it's known now.
Indeed. And by descendant, it doesn't have to be like distant. It can be literally just one generation down. A child who never knew what the Zanthian Empire was, but was told repeatedly at great length how good it was and how great it was. Raised on talk of glory days and the history of the Empire, and the steps going forward that will be necessary to do good stuff. Second possibility, going complete 180, as a very ascetic, like Buddhist-style Arakocra monk, living in the mountains of...
Jacome.
Yes, of Jacome. They'll be very calm, very diplomatic, and also just wandering the land, seeing what needs to be done, and/or punching people in the face.
Okay.
The third possibility is one of the Tiafara, who, name implies, would be a tiefling, descendant of devils and/or demons, and straight warlock, which makes sense.
That's fair. That's fair. What stands out to you the most out of those three options? If you had to choose one.
Gun to my head, I'd say my Zanthian idea, because it gets me right stuck in with the story and the world, and gives me more hooks than I travel doing what's right, and unlimited power gives to me.
Fair enough, yeah. So thinking about that, so the Commonwealth's a very big place. You have the Highlands, which are kind of what remains of the Highlands are very Norse sort of related. There's the Old Empire region, which is, actually includes the city of Xanthus, think kind of like a fantasy Rome almost, that kind of feel and vibe, but also has Tiafara, as you mentioned, the home of the ancient Tiefling, and the Tegundrian province, which are effectively the home of paladins and horse lords and Aasimar to some degree. So.
Of those, definitely Old Empire fits very well with the thing I had in my head. Probably like Xanthus directly. Okay.
No, that works for me. So that kind of brings us to the next question, which would be race. So there are, human isn't really specific enough. You can be of the people of Iovera, which means that you don't really have a cultural tie, and that has its own, not negatives, right, but has its own connotations. You're just a human. There's the actually Xanthi, which are the foreign people that came here a long time ago and brought about the Xanthus Empire. There's the Tegundrians. There's the I have a few of them listed anyways in the documents. We can rip through them.
Yeah, you got the Almani, the Norse, who are Nords, yes.
Yes.
The Gundrians, the Woodland folk. Xanthi makes sense, with the concept that I had. But there's also, for funsies, and because it's a nice thing to have, there's the possibility of it being a changeling. Changeling raised in Xanthia to be Zanthian, to embody the prospects of Xanthia. Is that like a strange or an unheard of thing?
Kind of. The Zanthian Commonwealth is probably a bit more accepting of other cultures than anywhere else, but the Xanthi themselves have clear traces of lineage, think like nobility. So Tegundrians and Xanthi are the equivalent of the nobility of the Commonwealth. If you're from one of them, multiple people can trace you back. If you're not from one of them, it's obvious, or at least
gotcha.
It would be a thin veil that you would be producing.
Yeah, you have to put a lot of effort in, and it's a constant tightrope walk, which really speaks to me. But normal Xanthi is fine. No extra gimmicks.
If you wanted to go with that, that's okay as well.
I kind of do, but there's something to be said of just the straight and narrow, and I do like just being Xanthi.
Okay.
Because I'm human. I like humans.
They are a bit different. I'll pull up I did some work on D&D Beyond way back when I originally was playing around with these concepts and creating them. Let me go ahead and pull that for you.
Show me your moves.
Yeah, I will get you the Xanthi, because maybe you'll read that and go, maybe not. hopefully,
So long as it doesn't come with a like -10 to dexterity or something.
no. If I remember correctly, they were actually buffed. So,
Oh.
yeah. I realize that I can't easily. I'm going to put this in the creation outline page because I can't send you links on Discord without messing the camera up. So.
Gotcha. All right, let me take a quick look at this. Men of Ivera. Unfortunately, there's a 404 error.
It's not going to let me link it to you. Okay, give me 1 sec. Sneaky Trixie.
The Trixie Hobbits. Yeah, while we're at it, I'm gonna do some thinking.
So, the Xanthi are darker skinned, typically. That's the best way to visually note them. That's their most distinctive sort of visual trait. They also age the slowest, aging as far as 300 years or so. The alignment's obviously lawful or good. That doesn't mean there aren't those that don't do either. I am going to veer away from evil concepts to the most point. I might, if someone's got a really good pitch for it would almost not be a protagonist then, right? It'd be the antagonist of certain things. So
villain protagonist.
Someone might have that, but I don't think that's necessary unless that's your entire high concept pitch.
My high concept is I'm a dick to everyone.
Yeah.
But no, evil can be done well. But yeah, I get not doing it for the very first thing.
So they kind of have like a sub-race, right? So there's the Xandar, the Philosopher, and the Sentry. It's not quite a full sub-race, right? But those are the three qualities of lineage, right? The Xandar being the most sort of prestigious lines of the Xanthi. The Philosophers are those prominent bloodlines that focus on the written and spoken word. And then the Sentry are think like the Roman Legion almost, right? They're the ones that would lead the military efforts for the most part underneath the Xandar. So they've probably mixed and intermingled maybe lower, lesser nobility would be the way to think of them.
Yeah. Less nobility and the people who would raise their status by joining in the civil service.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of these, both Xandar and Philosophers go for what I was going with, which was either spellcaster, very intellectual, into history, or rogue, good with their words and good with stabbing people very hard.
Right. Or bard, no.
Or a bard.
But as we'll see further on in this effort, we're not choosing a class anyhow. So we're choosing aspects of a class. And we'll get to those rules soon.
Yeah. It's hard to get away from, the core of what was D&D for a good while when it comes to concepts.
Yes.
But yes. Yeah. I reckon either Xandar or Philosophers work for what I was going with, which is a family that was of prominence that is now no longer with the change from the old empire to a commonwealth, something much more cosmopolitan, something that's less on the global and really national stage, an impoverished patrician.
Mm-hmm. I do like the idea of your scribe. I see there being a lot of, not scribe, but your, how did you pitch it?
Intellectual historian almost.
Yeah. I think that could be really interesting because, even as the name suggests, it's the annals of the Fallen Empire, right? So having someone that fits that archetype within the protagonist would be an entertaining story to follow, for sure.
Yeah.
But not ruling out the other one. I just think that there will probably be, my guess is there will be multiple takes on rogue concepts, and probably
Yes.
less on scholar. So
Yeah. More rogue and leader, less nerds. But I do like rogues.
yeah, I won't
But
make
yeah.
that decision for you. I'll let you decide. Like, um,
Well, ultimately, picking one doesn't necessarily mean that I can't pick other things.
right.
Especially with the way we're going to do things, which you guys will find out later. Uh, as it is, I think Xandar works best, just because I'm not sure how spell casting is going to work, so I don't want to go all into it and just have it not work for me.
Okay, sounds good.
So I'm a Xandar of Zanthia.
Right. You just refer to yourself as a Xandar, or externally probably as a Xanthi. So no one would really look into the intersections of the Xanthi unless you were part of the
Part
Xanthi.
of them, yeah.
Okay, so that covers region, that covers race. Let's talk about background. So I'm thinking more like standard D&D type backgrounds, something that we could apply over this.
Gotcha. Something that like fits immediately to my mind, just going off memory, is like courtier. What does that do? Where's that from? It's not in the base PHP. Give me one moment. You're gonna see my shirt, which has a Scottish map on it.
Interesting. A word map.
Yeah. Map of like all of the towns and cities.
There we go. Courtier, insight and persuasion.
Yep, insight persuasion, 2 extra languages, set of fine clothes. Not the most important. Court functionary would be useful. As far as the background goes. The other possibility is... Oh, noble is one, but noble is even less useful.
I'm sure both will be useful, right? This isn't your standard D&D game, so...
Yeah.
As far as
definitely.
like settings, it's not going to be a party of 4 going into dungeons on a regular basis.
Oh, yeah,
not that there
course.
won't be opportunities for dungeons, it just won't be the you know, I guess the cadence of the game won't be town.
Definitely. Yeah, it's not the same.
Town dungeon,
in
town
danger
dungeon,
from
town-
goblins, yes. No, I just mean to say, like, how many times have you had someone like use the gaming set that the nobles come with?
Yeah. Well, let's have, you know, it'll be like a Final Fantasy game where it's your mini game now. You just go around and like, when you're bored, you play chess against other people and you collect their noble game pieces.
I'm aware that your daughter has been kidnapped, but I am also aware you have cards that are missing from my deck. Play me.
Right?
Yes.
Well, the world's going to
Another
end in an
one.
hour, so I might as well stop here and play some card games with this random girl that I just met in this village first.
Yeah, do it for about 3 hours, because this is the last time before you can actually like get any of the extra stuff.
Right. I mean, makes sense to me.
Yeah. But yeah, I think like court functionary works a little bit better to me. It's less a position of privilege and more, we are Xanthar, we work for a living, despite not. Probably like a scribe or a page in like the old-timey sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You can just make a note of that then.
Yep.
All right, so that brings
I'll be
us...
writing this all down in a complete thing. Let me just get over my own Google Docs. Yeah.
I think that kind of, for you, it kind of covers the occupation too, right? Like some of these wouldn't necessarily cover how you make money. I don't want to just go with the standard, like we're going to use the standard gold system for the game, but the idea is that, you know, you have to work to make money. I know it's a crazy concept, but somehow you must earn money in this game. And it's either...
so bizarre to me. that
Right.
you have to actually like do things to
Yeah.
get things.
It's weird. And not just go into dungeons and find a bunch of random gold that people laid around.
That's
I'm not
something
trying
that
to
always
hate on.
messed with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But that's something that always messed with me in like some games where you could just go into a thing, kill everyone in there, take their stuff, and suddenly you could become an investment banker. Like, why doesn't everyone do that?
Like,
Like, sure, not everyone's an adventurer, but like, get 10 of your buddies, kill some goblins.
so that's, to me, that's what's missing. I want, if I were to describe, if someone were to ask me what makes this product different from your standard D&D game or like setting, I'd say one of the moods I want to feel, without going into low fantasy, because I don't think that's necessary. The idea is that when you come upon gold and treasure, it's not like an everyday scenario. It's like
Yeah,
when
it's
Bilbo became rich, it was a big deal. It was like,
definitely.
and defeating Smog was a big deal, and that's how he became rich. Is he got, you know, a portion of the contract that he signed at the beginning of the book, right?
Yeah, it was something that was legitimately heroic and like in universe legendary. It wasn't just, oh yeah, that's not that great. Like
Yeah.
old ham fists tripped over a rock and then discovered a gold mine, so now they're rich.
You only got 200 gold from those goblins? We went and killed some kobolds down the street and got 400. You know, like, I don't want it to feel like that. That's not what I'm looking for. So if I were to describe the difference, this game is taking tropes more from standard fantasy narratives, movies, books, etc., than it is from the dungeon delving that is your standard D&D game.
Yeah. I do like that stuff every now and again, but
There will be some.
yeah.
I just think that it's just like how it's used in standard narratives. It's standard
Yeah.
fantasy narratives usually involve it being something epic and meaningful, and
Yeah,
not just
it shouldn't be normal. That's why I don't really understand like the cadre of anime, which are like, and this is the Adventurers Guild. You go up to a desk and do paperwork, and then you kill minorities, and then you end up rich.
right. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so we went on an adventure
We went
together
on a
there.
vast
Yeah,
tangent.
yeah. I think that covers high concepts, so we can dive into what we're going to talk about, and I'll make sure that I add the link to this for these videos. We're experimenting with something that takes D&D as a system and kind of makes it classless. It's by someone named Paul Scott Canavan. I like the general premise. I'm not saying it's balanced or perfect, but effectively it switches it to kind of more of a XP progression game, where rather than your XP resulting in levels that result in new abilities, XP is your currency that you spend to invest in new things. And it removes the classes a bit in that way and allows you to spend XP to navigate anything in any class, which I thought would be really interesting in a game where we have single independent protagonists.
Definitely, it allows for much more versatility, and it's an interesting concept.
Sorry, I had some really loud music coming in there.
Is it on my end?
No, it was part of the same loop I'm playing, but it was louder than this song was louder than the last one. So.
Gotcha.
All right, so let's delve into the thing that people won't be confused by and they'll feel very comfortable with, which is ability scores. So we're using standard array-like scenario. Difference being is it's not just one standard array option. There are multiple arrays that you can choose from.
Yes, Bob has given us 4. One which is well-rounded, which I think is the standard, 15, 14. The other is more focused, with 2 stats at 8 and 1 at 16. The other is very focused, with 1 at 17. And the other is very optimized, a one-trick pony with a 6 and a 7, rounding out the The everything else below 13 and 1 stat at 18.
Yeah. So if you really had this idea, like, you really wanted this concept with an 18 strength or a 20 when you buff it with your, you could do it. You could absolutely do it with that. It just means that you're very focused in one area. And I thought that created some interesting options without you guys having to roll and rely on randomization to solve it. So.
Though, to be fair, I really do like the randomization. Nothing makes me happier than when I get like a 5 or something.
And yeah. Okay.
Alright. So, to my mind, well-rounded but slightly focused probably works better for what I am trying to do. I will want enough dexterity for survivability, charisma for talking, and everything else to keep me alive.
Okay.
That said, Jack of all trades wouldn't be terrible, because it allows me to round out Constitution and such. I'm going to go with well-rounded and slightly focused.
Can you just let us know what those numbers are?
Gotcha. That's 16, 15, 12, 10, 8, and 8.
And that's before you overlay your race.
Correct. Which would be a 1 to either my intelligence or charisma, and 1 to either strength, constitution, or dexterity. With that in mind, let me quickly add that now. I'm going to be doing this on the Roll20, and it tells me to use something called the Character Mancer, but that confuses and scares me. Should I just edit the sheet directly?
I would edit the sheet directly. Yeah,
Yeah,
what
because
you're
we're
doing.
doing it freeform. Yeah.
Not to mention we're not using classes, so.
Exactly. Let's make that 15. Make that 13. Let's make that 16. Actually, could make that. Yes, make that 17.
I'll get you to read them out once you're done.
Yeah.
One thing I'm really interested with this freeform model is the idea of what I like about games that use XP as currency versus XP to hit a level is every time you hit certain milestones with your XP, it's like you get to invest more often, and you're not just waiting for that next you're not waiting for that next level before you can do that. I'd say you can probably invest more frequently with this model. So.
Yes, and I'll probably have to make use of that soon, because even the Jack of all trades doesn't let me do all that I need to.
Yeah, keep in mind that this is level 0 starting. That's the other point.
This is starting off.
Yeah, you're not even a level 1 character, and that's by design.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it adds some interesting sort of starting points for people who are coming from everyday life to become something bigger. So.
Yeah. These are people, like regular people, that will become legend or die. Or die.
Yeah. Well, that'll be what your companions are for. So.
Yeah, they're the meat shields. That's what they're there for. So I got an 8 there, I got an 8 there, I got a 12 I have to put in Constitution. I can't have it below 12, which means my intelligence right now will just be 10. Alright. I've got an 8 in Strength. I've got a 16 in Dexterity. I've got a 12 in Constitution, a 10 in Intelligence, an 8 in Wisdom, because I am not that wise. I'll probably be keeping it there. And a 17 in Charisma.
All right. Perfect.
Well,
Seems like a good build. So your high points are Charisma and Intelligence? Is that correct?
Correct. Actually, real quick, I'm going to switch my Dexterity and Charisma. It's Dexterity and Charisma that are my high points.
Gotcha.
So I think under the rules of Freeform 5e, those are going to be my saving throws. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait. And I already have advantage on it. Excellent.
All right, perfect. And then I think for the Freeform 5e, I think you start with 10 health. I think everyone does.
Yes.
With their Constitution modifier factored into that.
Indeed. So my hit point maximum is currently 11.
Perfect.
Bad for a barbarian, but good for a lot of other things.
Right. And yeah, considerably better than what most things get to start, but every human in this setting kind of starts with that scenario. So.
Yeah.
Or every person, every hero. All right, so just looking into next steps. So after the ability scores are applied, we can dive right into spending your 25 experience points.
Indeed. So ability things are applied currently, and I've got 25 as a starting level 0 thing. I will be honest, 25 is not much.
No, it's not. You'll be relying on those first couple of sessions to advance, for sure. Probably within 2 to 3 episodes, you'll be level 1 or better. They consider like each 50 XP is the equivalent of another level as far as hit dice and everything else are concerned. So.
With that in mind, I'm probably going to spend... This isn't optimal. I'm probably going to spend 20 XP to get my first dice of sneak attack.
Okay.
So let me quickly add that under features and traits.
So just kind of thinking about this to make it make sense for your Xanthi, what in his upbringing, his training, his teaching taught him to sneak attack? Like how do you see that linked?
I'm planning on going down the route of the swashbuckler, so I imagine it being like classically trained in rapier fighting, that sort of thing.
So fencing, basically.
Yeah, fencing, that sort of thing, and hitting precise spots where they need to, along with, some anatomy lessons, which may have been breezed through 10 intelligence.
No, that's all fair. Perfect. I had a feeling you had that in mind, but for maybe the audience, they, not knowing you as well, might not know exactly where you're going with that. So perfect.
I love swashbucklers, man. I just love them.
Yeah, me too. But we'll have to play 7C at some point. The best game for that.
There is... here we go. Experience points. I'm going to quickly do 20 S5. No, that's only decipherable to me. There we go. 20 spent, 5 unspent. Because I have spent 20 XP for my 1d6.
Gotcha.
Oh, and I think I need to spend experience for proficiencies as well. So I might need to revise my stuff.
You do have to. You start with simple, I think. Everyone starts with simple.
Yes.
It might be worth going through those things first, and then, if you got to wait on sneak attack, so be it. But
that's a very good idea. Because proficiencies and stuff are way down at the bottom. That's why I missed them.
Yeah, that's very fair.
No, wait. I've got 5. I'm going to spend that 5 to get proficiency in light armor.
Okay. But you won't be able to, with simple weapon, what's that give you for swords and
daggers, short swords, that sort of thing.
Does it? Okay. If it gives you short sword, then you're kind of covered for simple weapons.
I'll need martial eventually to get a rapier, but let me quickly check. Oh no, short sword is martial. However, I do get daggers, which That's all you need, really, for now.
Right? I'll support it.
The
Kind
people
of.
with longer weapons, they're just overcompensating.
It might make sense. Like, what would it? How much XP is it for short sword or for martial weapons?
It's 8, I believe.
8, and that would
Uh,
leave you 3 over. Or is it 8 over? Like, are you at 0
oh
XP
no,
right now?
it's 10. It would leave me 5 over.
5 over, yeah.
Look, it's not. I know how to fight and make it look good. I don't know how to fight properly. With a dagger, it's easy. You just stab at the bits which are soft.
And in 5e, does not having the proficiency mean that you can't wield it at all?
Let me quickly
Or
check.
is that
I
disadvantage?
think at its base you can't add your proficiency bonus to it.
Is that it? Okay. And you probably can't critical if you don't have your proficiency bonus.
I'm sure you can critical. Everyone rolls a 20 after all. It's just you don't add the +2,
Yeah, but I
+3,
thought
do
for
all the way
things
to
you don't, I thought for things that you don't have proficiency in, you can't critical. So if you're like rolling a skill and you can't apply your proficiency bonus, you can't critical on it.
Not to my mind, or nothing that I've read. However, it is a perfectly viable way to rule things.
It could be aim or a house rule. Adventures in Middle Earth. I've played most of my D&D experience has been 5e anyways, has been Adventures in Middle Earth. So.
Weapon proficiency. Yep, if you make an attack roll using a weapon with which you lack proficiency, you do not add your proficiency bonus to the attack roll, which at 0 to 50 XP, or 0 to 100 even, is just a +2, which is still substantial.
We could say, like, just to make it less cheesy, we could say that the style that you were trained in focuses
It's more
on...
for show rather than actual.
Well, you could fight almost like a offhanded, like with the dagger in your main, and the rapier that you wield or the short sword goes in your offhand, that sort of thing. Like if you wanted to go that kind of model.
Yeah, classical Spaniard.
Yeah.
Or rather, like reverse Spaniard.
Yeah, reverse. I don't know if that's a 7C thing, but they put that with the Italians in 7C, the offhand, the southpaw kind of equivalent.
The Italians, the French, and the Spanish all stole their fencing styles from each other. It's almost impossible to link it back to an original.
Yeah, that's fair. But I'm thinking, yeah, the idea could be that your main sword is more like a bait for your dagger, and that's kind of where you're starting off.
Yeah, it's meant to draw the eye so that the strike can happen, and also the sword defends.
Yeah. All right.
It can also be like less of a conscious thing and more. I am not comfortable with a thing this weighty in proper combat yet.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, you are meant to be fairly new, so you're probably still underway with your training. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that 0 XP? Are you done?
0 XP, yes. That's 20 for sneak attack, 1d6, and 5 for light armor proficiency.
Great. All right, so that brings us to equipment.
Staying alive is essential for my next plan.
So, because there aren't classes, we're not using class equipment. Let me just check and see. Maybe this actually had an equipment. I don't think it did. No, it probably just uses... I bet it uses the base gold equipment. Purchase with gold versus use your class to determine equipment. So we'll use that from D&D 5e.
That should be no issue.
You probably don't have that handy though, do you?
It depends on... Oh, well, I do have the thing handy. I just need to quickly... Customization options? Where is it under? Sorry for the periods of silence.
It's okay. I think people are gonna understand. This will not be the standard way things are done. These are more like 0 sessions. If people are fans of the show, they might want to go back and review these or look at these before they start the show.
Indeed. Expenses, trade goods, here we go. Rogue, 44 times 10 GP. Let me quickly roll those. Oh, that's dead average, actually. That's 8. So that is 80 GP that I have to spend amongst myself.
All right.
With that in mind, let me quickly check out armor. Leather is easy enough to get. I'll probably get standard leather. So now I've got an armor class of 14. Big spender over here. I'm gonna get a dagger. I may, in fact, get 2.
Scandalous.
I know. Let me quickly... Dex plus 0 plus proficient. It is melee. It does 1d4. Dex plus that. Crit is... Oh, what's this? Why is it unnecessarily confusing?
What are you reviewing?
I'm reviewing the Roll20 base, I guess. Okay, so it's got a +5, which does 1d4 plus 3. How do I get it to add an additional 1d6?
For which?
For sneak attack. I'll just... Oh no, wait, there we go, that's perfect. It is built in fact.
Yeah, I was about to say it should cover the base class capability.
It does. Alright, so currently I have 2 daggers. And I have 1 leather armor. That totaled to 14, which means I've got 66 left. 66 left. I've got what I need, so let's add some stuff that I like.
All right, let's talk about this.
I would like a rapier, even though I can't use it yet. I feel like it would be nice to have.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because it is part of the fighting style, so to speak. Even if I can't use it to its best ability. And let's see. So that's... How much is it? 25.
Before you go too far down, equipment packs is probably something to look at. Like, do you want the standard cheap Explorer pack or the Scholar pack for 40 GP?
It really depends on what the start of the story is going to look like. Because if my character knows that they're going to be embarking on a journey, it's going to be very different than I'm in the city and have no plans to move out anytime soon.
We're going to talk about that next, for sure.
Exactly. So I might just, keep some coin in escrow. If that's 25, then I have 41 gold left. And the packs are... all of them are below 40. So let's just put a pin in that for right this second, then we'll see how it goes.
Noted. All right, keep going.
41 GP. There we go. All right, let's continue.
Are you good to move past equipment for now?
I am. I have weapons, I have armor, and all of the extra stuff Depends on what I know about my character and what they're going to be doing.
Okay. Let's talk about part of what I wanted to cover in high concept and kind of forgot about. Do you have any pitches on arc, like story arc for this character?
Yes. Well, the concept for my character is basically a Zanthian nationalist.
Hmm.
They were raised on stories of the old empire and basically how good it was. Whether it was their family or the friends they hang around with, the Commonwealth is good
Yeah,
because it is Zanthian. But is it good enough?
that's fair.
The way of life for the world is still threatened by the great hordes. And what better to bring it together than Xanthia?
Fair enough. Yeah, so that is a good kind of discussion on the starting point because um, for a short time, the people once Xanthus fell, the hordes of Narnabul threatened the entirety of Aovera. Especially with Xanthus fallen, it looked like everything was not going to work out. They had an unexpected ally, which is the whole enemy of my enemy is my friend scenario, in the Hob Warlord or the Hobgoblin Warlord of nearby area to Xanthus itself. Um, Obviously, with the hordes of Nardabul pushed back and victory successful, there are defenses and mitigations in place to stop it from simply reoccurring again. But tension has formed in the various lands and regions around Xanthia. And Xanthia, those who sit outside of Xanthia, aren't usually looking favorably upon Xanthia itself.
Yes.
The Hob Warlord
They
is
watch it
considered,
with envious eyes.
yeah, Hob Warlord is kind of like um, Cold War threat number one, I guess, is from Xanthus's perspective.
Yeah.
They wish
And
to keep an eye on.
what does a nation going through both political and economic decline and a Cold War go through? They need a strongman. My character does not see themselves as that strongman. They see themselves as a small part of a wide and wonderful thing, and they want to do what is necessary to keep Xanthia and its people strong and protected. So
So
I see their arc as either dealing with threats through diplomacy or through standard adventuring means, which is strange magic and sword to the gut.
yeah,
Just doing what they feel is good and right.
and based on your pitch as well as your starting abilities, I'm guessing that they deal with the threats kind of in the traveling swordsman kind of way, through diplomacy, and then when that breaks down, the sword. Is that
Yes.
fair? So
Well,
plots that
yeah.
deal with intrigue, political intrigue, threats from
Exactly.
within, sort of uncovering some of the gritty sides of Xanthus too. So someone that was raised on its beauty and wonder, having to deal with the
Yeah,
reality of
seeing
things.
the reality, seeing the underbelly, and going, it's worth it. Because yeah, if it can't be dealt with by talking it or tricking it, it must have its throat slit in the night, or else no one is safe.
Roger that. Okay,
Mm.
I've got a great idea for a starting point then. So
Mm. I'm neutral.
okay, so I think we can go ahead and move to the last point, which is
Absolutely.
so the very last step is just companions. So recognizing that you might encounter people that might become your companions anyways, and I'm not going to really have a strong limit or expectation that you have any companions. You might have 0, you might have 2. 3 would be the perfect D&D amount. If you're going to do some standard D&D encounters, it certainly makes it easier to guess what that might
When I
look like.
first left my home, I realized that no journey is complete without someone that can heal people, just in case I, caught an arrow to the gut or anything.
And we don't have to flesh out the rules on
Exactly.
these characters, but I will review sort of what they are. So a companion has a 25 XP start, similar to you. They earn XP at a normal rate, but 50% of HP or a critical hit downs them. So if they have
Ooh.
30 HP, they drop at 15 or a single critical hit, which I think will represent them being thematically interesting. When they drop, it'll be like something fun.
Yeah, definitely. Something because it will happen like more regularly, but when it
Yes.
does happen, it'll be my companions.
Yeah.
People who've been with me.
And 0 HP or critical hits lead to death saves, but they only get 1. So yeah, so it's
That's
a
good stuff.
little different than protagonists. And for each companion, should you choose one, there'll be 3 things true that you name. I would recommend no more than 2 to start with for you, maybe 0, maybe 1. I'll leave it up to you.
My inner strategist is going, I will need someone big and beefy to take the hits, and I will need someone with magical power. But I don't know enough about my character to just yet to figure out like what they would especially need. I feel that if they are going on a mission, like either self-appointed or by people that they trust, they'll probably be going with a friend of theirs, someone who believes the same things, but perhaps took a different path. I'm thinking
Let's do
someone
that.
from the philosopher caste.
Okay, so Xanthi philosopher, that makes sense.
Yes.
Let's start with 3 things true for them. So this is less like they're super loyal and more like name 3 interesting story elements about this character. I'll just jot them down here for your companion.
Gotcha.
In roll
Let
20.
me think a little.
Yeah.
3 things true.
Single sentence lines, basically. Think of it as basically you're representing their high concept. If we need to go back to them, then you and I can just see what their things true are.
Let's see. One, they believe that might, in a way, makes right.
As a philosopher, interesting.
Well, as a philosopher, it does kind of make sense, though might can take many different things, like in their case, probably magic.
Gotcha, okay.
It doesn't matter if someone can swing a sword that weighs 2 tons if they can get struck by lightning. Oh, you cut out for a bit. What did you say?
I don't think I said anything.
Oh, I heard gah.
Oh, weird. It's probably just I moved, and I'm getting old enough to where I probably make noises when I move. So, yeah.
Right. Now I feel bad. But
Yeah.
yes. Okay, so might makes right. We've got another thing.
What about
Most of the things that I would say like relate to the philosophy that my character
what
has.
about
So
their
let's
relationship to you? Maybe a statement that represents how do they know you, or what is their,
got you. We are childhood friends and confidants. Our secret doubts that we have about what we have been taught, we shared with each other and to no one else.
2 separate statements, or should I try to weave those together?
Let's do 2 separate statements. One speaks of our history. One speaks to our closeness.
Who grew up together? So you grew up together, basically.
Grew up together.
And then the closeness is.
Confided in our secret doubts. Or confided about.
And these are separate.
has secret doubts. There we go. That links in with the closeness automatically, so it's good.
And secret doubts about?
About the mission / the belief that Xanthia is the best. Xanthia fell. Or Xanthus, I suppose.
So, the greatness of Xanthus kind of thing, right? Like the patriotic man. I could tell you a couple things about that. Having grown up in the U.S. And moved to Canada, love it still, but New York will always be home. But yeah,
indeed, the best fucking city in the world.
All right, so I think that covers that. So before I post this, I'll get you to give me a character name, but I won't put you on the spot for that right now. I know that can be difficult to come up with unless you've got it in your back pocket.
I can spit out some names, and you can tell me if they fit what you think Zanthian naming schemas would be like. Dorishi.
I like it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, perfect. First one's a hit. Yep. Excellent. Dorishi. Let me quickly put that on my character sheet. There we go.
And what about your... is this a male or female, or what gender identity, I guess, for the NPC?
Good question. It didn't matter so much. Let's go with male, because it's easier for me to play without falling into traps.
There you go. Okay. And do you have a name preference for them, or do you want to leave that for me?
I'll leave it up to you. It's your world, and you can do all sorts of nasty stuff with them in the background. So, name is fair.
All right. Well, I think we can conclude there, Thomas. Do you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, this is pretty much good. I will be adding more detail to my character, and I'll be sending it to you over the next few days. And you could just tell me if it's good, it's bad, or doesn't make sense whatsoever.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, because
regarding
this starting out doing something.
Regarding the start of this game, we're going to make sure that we kind of get through the creation of each of them. So we're probably looking at a few weeks to a month before we start these. You'll have a monthly episode and maybe a second if there's combat related. When we hit a major combat, something more than a little cinematic interaction, we might pause and have that be a part 2. So I know that can take long and be daunting. These episodes will typically be between an hour and 2 hours.
Yeah, because I've done stuff like that, and having a combat pause for a month until the next session, and then coming back in the middle of it.
Yeah. Exactly. So,
all right, everyone. All is good, and it just gives me more time to perfect stuff.
Great. All right, so we'll see you for session 1, and looking forward to continuing this. Thanks for your time, Thomas.
No problem. Thank you. See you, everyone.